Hey, this is AunTeaFee about them facts. How you doing? We have some breaking news in Orange Mound. There was a tragic drive-by shooting where a 2-year-old child was shot and rushed to the hospital and unfortunately did not make it. It has been a shooting warfare, can't even get it out, in Memphis, Orange Mound, all over North Memphis. It was a shooting. Dozens of shell casings in the middle of the afternoon. Corns Avenue. 2 blocks have been roped off. Uniformed officers and plainclothes officers. How many shots? This is horrible. A 2-year-old. Check on your family and friends. Corns Avenue. In Orange Mound. Gang related. Drive-by shooting. Check on your people.
Child has died after a shooting in Orange Mound. WREG's Dorita Patterson is on the scene and she brings us the latest.
Alex, happening in just the last 5 minutes, we had a source reach out to tell us that 2-year-old did not survive. Folks, it's happening in the middle of this Orange Mound community in the middle of the afternoon. Let's take a look at this scene together.
This happened around 1
dozens of evidence
today.
markers. We're at Josephine Street at Carnes Avenue. There's about a block or maybe 2 blocks that have been roped off. A dozen plus officers are out here. We're talking about uniform as well as plainclothes detectives. But take a look at the evidence markers. Those are usually indicative of how many shots were fired. So you can understand the gravity of what happened here. There is a home on the corner. We could see police coming and going, really focusing their attention on those who are actually coming out of that Orange Mound house. But once more, folks, we have been told by someone very familiar and close to this case that 2-year-old sadly did not survive. I can also tell you that source is telling us this may have been, operative word there, this may have been a drive-by shooting. As you would imagine, we are still working to get more information. I can tell you top brass is out here with Memphis police, so we are waiting to hear from them at any moment. My colleague Raven Copeland is here. She's working, she's aggressively working, to gather more information. I had the chance also to speak briefly with a woman who identified herself as the aunt of that child, and she was distraught, as you would imagine, telling us it didn't look good. When she received that phone call, she rushed over here, and at last word, things weren't looking good. And once more, that source reaching out to tell us the 2-year-old child sadly did not survive. Once more, this is breaking news. This all happened around 1 o'clock, so we're only about 2 hours into this investigation. Still a lot of questions. Unfortunately, there are a lot of answers that we are still searching for. And of course, as we learn that information, you will be the first to know, both on air and online. Once more, take a look at this scene. Upwards of 50, if I'm not mistaken, evidence markers. This area roped off, so you cannot access this. We have both the uniform as well as plainclothes detectives, and we've also seen several homicide detectives, which of course is never a good scene. Of course, we'll keep you updated the moment we learn more. Reporting for your news
today.
Evidence markers, if that, there might be even more, which really makes you question just how many shots were fired in this tragedy.
News leader at 4 today. An investigation is underway in Orange Mound this afternoon after Memphis police tell us a 2-year-old, yes, a 2-year-old was killed in a shooting. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Alex Coleman.
And I'm April Thompson. We want to get right to WREG's Raven Copeland, who is live near the scene on Josephine Street. Raven.
Good afternoon, April and Alex. Yeah, Memphis police received that shooting call around 1 o'clock, but as you can see, this remains an active scene. There are several police cars that are still here. Crime scene tape is surrounding the scene, and we've counted dozens of evidence markers, nearly 40 evidence markers, if that. There might be even more, which really makes you question just how many shots were fired in this tragic incident. There is also detectives who have been inside and outside of a home, but Memphis police have not told us if the child was shot inside of the home or outside of the home. But this is what we know so far. That child was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, where sadly he died from his injuries. And of course, again, going back to those evidence markers, we've counted over 40, and that usually indicates bullet casings on the ground, but we still don't know exactly what the evidence is that Memphis police are gathering. But they're scattered across this Orange Mound neighborhood, just right in the middle of the street. And at this time, Memphis police have not said what this shooting was about and who might have been the target. Again, Memphis police have not said whether or not that shooting happened at this home that they've been at or somewhere in the neighborhood. But as you can imagine, this is a tragic story. We've seen several neighbors outside just looking at the scene and just taking in what has happened. Now, ahead at 5, you'll hear the pleas from the Memphis Police Department as the city has lost yet another child to gun violence. Reporting live from Orange Mound for your news leader, Raven Copeland, WREG News Channel.
For Memphis police, they responded to crime scenes all across the area. For several hours, detectives were crisscrossing the city, investigating several shootings. WREG's Jarita Patterson with reaction from a grandfather living in a community where one of those attacks happened.
There was a wave of police overnight following a wave of violence. During the wee hours Friday, police were called here to North Memphis at Thomas Street and Marble Avenue, where a man came to a stop after he was shot while driving. The victim told police he was trying to meet up with a one-time high school friend who he was chatting with on Facebook Messenger. The former classmate asked to meet along Woodlawn. After turning onto the street, an unknown gunman opened fire. The victim's vehicle was hit, so too was he. An hour earlier, police were already investigating yet another planned meetup attack, this time in Whitehaven along Dolan Drive, just off Elvis Presley Boulevard. The victim said after meeting a woman through an online dating site, she agreed to come over after he transferred $5 to her account. Instead of being struck by Cupid's arrow, the victim was struck by gunfire after he told police the woman and an unexpected male passenger began shooting. The violence is out of control, a grandfather who lives one street over told us.
Live one day at a time.
Those days are often spent taking a walk with his grandson as he wishes things would return to days gone by.
I'm from the country. I'm down out of Brand, so it's new experience to me.
Much like the countryside where there's a slower pace of life, the grandfather we spoke with is hoping crime will slow down as well, so he can continue taking his grandson on those daily walks without so much worry. Reporting for your news leader, Jarita Patterson.
Family were also victims of crime, shot overnight inside of an apartment complex.
Fortunately, they are all expected to be okay. Here's WREG's Jarita Patterson with reaction from a man who says the sound of gunfire, sadly, is all too familiar.
There is hope. A triple shooting that happened in the shadows will come to light. Tuesday night, police were called to this complex on Frayser Boulevard.
My department crazy. I'm on every day they shoot.
As it turns out, the 3 victims were no longer here. Also absent is a feeling of safety, Braylon Bradley told us as he stared into our camera, speaking candidly.
I ain't snitching on nobody in there, but it going down over here. I ain't really want nobody to know I live over here, but that's how crazy it is.
Adding to the craziness overnight, police say it was at Baptist East where they discovered the 3 shooting victims. A man who shares a child with one of the victims said he heard an argument before hearing gunfire.
There ain't no time to play. Greenbrier, It going down over here.
The man who heard that commotion loaded all 3 victims into his Nissan Maxima, rushing them to the hospital. There are certainly a lot of questions, but there are not a lot of answers. For the gentleman we spoke with, what he wants answered is how and why this community was deemed safe, when in his words, it's anything but.
Yeah, I don't know why they got that right there. I be wanting the hood to be good, but the hood ain't good.
The city's data hub shows police have responded within a half-mile
told y'all that
radius
she
of
was
the
giving
recent
fake
attacks
information that
75
she
times
to
since
get
the
her job
beginning of
back.
the year, concerning assaults, homicides, robberies, and weapon violations.
Man, don't come over here. If you don't stay, don't come over here.
Oh,
man.
wow.
For your news leader in Frasyer, Jarita Patterson, WREG, News Channel 3.
A shooting call to the 700 block of Josephine Street. When officers arrived, a juvenile was wounded. That juvenile was transported to a burner in critical condition, and unfortunately, tragically, that juvenile is deceased. What we are asking our community for, we need your help. We must stop this senseless gun violence in our community. We must pull together in our community to protect our children. If there are any neighbors, anyone that lives in the community, if you have any business cameras in the community, please give that information to investigators. You can call 901-528-CASH, or you can call 545-2274. If there's any other information, you can call our PIO office.
Your news leader, a heartbreaking scene in Orange Mound as police investigating the shooting death of a 2-year-old boy. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Greg Hurst. Stephanie is off tonight. This all happening just after 1 this afternoon on Josephine Street, and that's where we find WREG's Raven Copeland. And Raven, fill us in. What is the latest?
Good evening, Greg. Yeah, Memphis police just wrapped up that crime scene just a few minutes ago. They actually towed a car from the home where investigators have been for hours, but Memphis police have not said if that's where the shooting happened or if the shooting happened inside or outside of the home or just in the street of this Orange Mound neighborhood. Now, they also removed those dozens of evidence markers that we saw, and evidence markers, those usually indicate some shell casing, so that just puts into perspective just how many times that child was possibly shot. Now, as you mentioned, this is what we know so far from Memphis police. A 2-year-old boy was shot in the 700 block of Josephine Street. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition where he sadly died from his injuries. Now, Memphis police have not said again if the shooting happened at this residence, inside the residence, or in the street. They have not arrested anyone, and they haven't identified the 2-year-old victim. But today, the Memphis Police Department pleaded with the community to stop this senseless gun violence.
What we are asking our community for, we need your help. We must stop this senseless gun violence in our community. We must pull together in our community to protect our children.
Now, investigators are also asking anyone who lives or works nearby this afternoon. Now, I also spoke with the aunt of the shooting victim. Now, ahead at 10, you'll hear about the devastation that she and her family are dealing with months after she says they lost another loved one at this home to gun violence.
Wow, I told you I'd seen that street before. I told y'all.
He shot another teenager in the head at a Southeast Memphis park. That shooting victim.
One of them guys I showed y'all last night.
Which prompted a lockdown
with that girl
at
fight.
Overton High School started with a fight near the community center, and then it ended with that gunfire. Tonight, Harrison Klopp, the newest member of the News Channel 3 team, has more.
It's a story that the city of Memphis is all too familiar with. Teen crime. And after a teenage girl was shot and left in critical condition right here next to Overton High School, local parents are expressing their concerns.
There's a lot of crime stuff going on. So we don't go to the park that often. If people start getting help to their children a little better, then I think the city will be a lot better when it comes to a lot of crime going on.
And Jaleesa is right. There is a lot of juvenile crime.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it was that fight yesterday with them girls was horrible, but it was like 3 guys standing there watching.
The same place 3 other teens were
and
shot
one
in
had his
December.
hand on the trigger.
Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy says
Not
teen crime
him.
is a problem, and one that he hopes the Memphis community can come together and overcome.
You've got to be concerned. I mean, what
You're
is it
not
about their
concerned,
environment
sir.
that allows
You're
them at
just
such a
talking.
young age to pick up a gun and be part of that culture? And I think it's you know, it's the parents, it's our culture, it's social media, it's economics and demographics, it's our court system. You know, there's
And
a
it
lot
is you, sir.
that we can point fingers at, but the idea is we have to all be working together to intervene early on before these kids turn bad, and to make sure they understand that there's another way.
From Southeast Memphis.